Hey guys, going to do a quick video talking about the Fender Blues Jr. output section and biasing. Real quick, this is a EL84 based output tube section. Typically EL84 based amps are cathode bias, which is a very forgiving method of bias that actually biases the tube in respect to ground, and it compensates for a wide variance of impedance of output tube. This amp, however, is not biased that way. This is biased with a negative voltage on a control pin, which varies drastically, exactly what voltage you need depending on what set of tubes you put in it. Not just brand, but within a brand, just one tube to another is going to have varied impedances. So what I've got all these alligator clips for, I'm doing transformer shunt to measure the current from the plate of one output tube, and then at the same time I'm measuring the voltage applied to the other plate. I've also, as you can see, these little green jumpers hanging out in here. It's this tiny little resistor. I've added a resistor to drop the negative bias voltage down across R52. The stock value is 22K. I've added a 33K in parallel with it, and that has dropped the negative bias voltage down again. Here's my values as it sits right now. This is with the resistor added. So we're running right around 21 milliamps at 340 volts. And if we go over here and do some quick math, 12 watt dissipation divided by 340 volts, max dissipation right around 35 milliamps. Multiply this by 0.6. Some guys run it cold at 50%, some guys run it hot 70. An average is right around 60%. So at 60%, we're running 21 milliamps per tube, and that's pretty much right where we're at, with the resistor added, again, to drop the negative voltage. If I take this resistor out, I'm just going to lift one leg here. So now it is 100% stock with just the 22K and 33K in the bias supply. No changes made. And look what happened to the current here. 13.8 milliamps is what we're running on one side. If I do backwards math here, 13.8 divided by a max dissipation at 340 volts, this will be off ever so slightly, we're roughly at 40% dissipation here. So stock setting has it at 40% dissipation. Again, Fender Blues Juniors, you have to have the bias adjusted when you swap tubes. A standard mod I do is to add an adjustable bias and test points to the rear of the amp. When I do that, I hook both the tubes together though and put a 1 ohm resistor across the cathode of both of them. So you'd actually be reading the total plate and screen dissipation of both tubes, but it'll get you very, very close. So there you go. Have to have a bias adjusted. Again, you can see stock value here, roughly 40%. And then when I adjust the bias correctly, and here I'm just doing it by a jumper, lowering the bias voltage, bam, 21 milliamps. And again, doing the math here, 12 watts divided by 340, and at 60%, right on the money, 21 milliamps. There you go.